All right, everyone, what's happening? It's Jay here. Thank you for tuning in. It's another live stream on Spro Coffee Channel, and this is our weekly coffee Q&A. If this is your first time joining us, whether you're watching live or on the restream, we do a live stream every Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. So come and bring your questions about coffee. We're talking coffee and anything you need to know, anything you'd like to know. And there's usually a weekly topically discussion or something like that, or something that we're doing every week. This week, today, we're doing our episodes recapping the World Barista Championship, which happened last weekend in Milan, Italy. So on last week's show, we actually did a live stream where we watched the Swedish. On last week's live stream, we actually did. Here we go again. On last week's live stream, we watched Emi Fukuhori, the Swiss national champion, do her presentation in the World Barista Championship Finals Round. She was the last competitor on the finals day, and because of the 7-hour difference between here and Milan, that was the only time that we were able to catch her. But she did a great performance and was fantastic, and she ended up finishing 4th in the world. Of course, as you probably know, Diego Campos from Colombia took first place. Andrea Allen from the United States was second, with Hugh Kelly from Australia taking up the 3rd place ranking. And of course, one of my favorites, Martin Shabaya from Kenya. I was hoping he would do very well. He took 5th. And then rounding out the 6th finalist was Wojciech Teisler from Ireland. So in today's show, we're going to be looking at what happened and how it happened. It kind of came to my attention. I really wasn't, the other day, one of my buddies, Federico Bolaños, let me pull him up here. Federico started posting, and if you're not familiar with Federico is, he's from El Salvador and started a coffee company down there, and has since that time really moved away from retail roasting, and moved into more of coaching of baristas. He's been very successful. I first saw his competitor Alejandro Mendez back in 2011, who won the El Salvador Barista Championship. I was actually the head judge for that one. So, when we went to Colombia, to Bogota that year for the World Barista Championship, it was really exciting because, here was the competitor that we had selected in El Salvador, competing in Colombia. And when you're doing the head judging thing and you're running, overseeing national competitions, and you name a champion from the countries you work in, and you see them go to the World Championship, you can't help but to be a little bit, hoping that, hey, maybe the guy that you chose will make it all the way. And that year, we did. I was head judges with a good buddy of mine, Rob from Atlanta, and Rob Tuttle, and we were both in Bogota judging, and to see Alejandro win was just a super exciting time. And Federico that was his first champion. And since that time, Federico has gone on to, coach many champions, both at the national level as well as the world. Like, here's a picture with Federico here in the cap, Diego Campos, the current champion, as well as Juyeon from Korea, and she is the former World Barista Champion. She was the champion who won in 2019 when we were in Boston. And so Juyeon is really a great competitor, great person. And as you can see, Federico has done 3 World Barista Champion, 2 finalists. Really what it means is probably 5 finalists, because he probably had 2 champions that didn't make it past the final, or didn't become the champion, but what I'm talking about. 5 WBC semifinalists, and then 18 national champions. So he's done a very good job training baristas, as well as building his own reputation and becoming a great coach in his own right. So 3 champions the last 2 years, as well as Alejandro Mendez back in 2011. Actually, here's a picture of Alejandro. You can see here he is on the very left side in his very first championship. So, great deal. So, like I said, if you have any questions, also please feel free to drop them in the comments below. we'll get to them. And we see Mark's in the house. How you doing, Mark? What's happening? Everything good today? All right. So like I said, so Federico was posting the other day about the rankings, and I thought, oh man, that might be something to check out. So here's our finalists. We have Martin Shabaya here on the left, Emi Fukuhori. We've got Hugh Kelly, third place finisher, of course, Diego, and then Wojciech from Ireland, and then Andrea from here in the United States. So they are the 6 finalists. They did a great job. And here's the thing. So let's go and actually look at the rankings. So these are the rankings. Let's start off first with the first round. So this year was a little bit different than most years in that there was only 38 competitors. Typically there's over 50, sometimes close to 60 competitors. But because of COVID and a whole bunch of things, there was just less competitors this year. Some countries didn't send competitors at all. And some countries ended up sending their second place champion. And why would that happen is that typically some countries, well, a few years ago, the World Coffee Events Organization decided to start something called the Deferment Program. And basically what this means is that if you have a national champion, they can choose to defer for a year for a variety of reasons. It started in 2017 after there was a bit of furor about they were going to bring one of the World Championships to Dubai, and a lot of people in the West, mainly the United States and Australia, were upset because if they were to send a championship to Dubai, they felt as though they would have to declare that they were whatever sexual orientation they preferred. And that brought a lot of furor and a lot of discussion, a lot of debate. And, it was really interesting. Even Barista Magazine had an article on their website where one of their reporters was in Korea at the time this all came. This all came out in November of 2017 when we were all in Seoul for the World Barista Championship. And this reporter, I believe her name was Alexis Rodriguez, she went out and she interviewed a bunch of people that were there. And, you've got a sampling now of coffee people from around the world. And, and actually is very left-leaning liberal, very much like Barista Magazine. And even she had to admit in her own article, they printed it, that this whole furor over this having the event held in Dubai was really a Western thing, really in the minds of Western coffee people. Everybody else in the country, everybody else around the world that they had spoken to at the World Barista Championship was kind of like, we don't even know what you're talking about. We don't even understand. We don't even see that as an issue. That's basically what they were saying, that it was a white privilege issue. And I got to say, I agree with them. But anyway, the deferment started because of this whole thing. And this now allows a champion to defer their trip to the World Barista Championship or any of the World Championships for a year. And one of the side effects is this is good because now you can, let's say we bring the World Barista Championship to the United States, and that's actually something I'm not terribly in favor of because the United States is highly restrictive in their immigration policies. And so a lot of champions are unable to come to the United States because of our draconian laws here. And so now they have the opportunity to defer and wait till the next year when they hold the WBC in a country that's not as crazy. And it was interesting because in Seoul, this all happened at Seoul, and Seoul was an interesting place because it was the very first World Barista Championship that was held where no competitor was rejected for immigration policies. So pretty much everybody that won that year was able to attend and compete, and that was really an interesting and special kind of event in that respect. But anyway, so what this allows you to do is that you can send now. So if your champion decides to defer, you can send your second place champion or a designated replacement. So let's say your second place is not available or for whatever reason, you can go to your third place or however you want to do it. And that did happen with a couple of cases this year. It's happened in a couple cases in the past. One of the things that could be problematic is that, let's say you have successive competitions. Are you going to send two competitors the year out? That's something we really haven't come across. I'm not really sure how they're planning to handle that, but we'll find out in time. So let's have a look at, these are the standings. And as you can see, we've got at the very top, we'll start right there. Hugh Kelly, Australia, #1 after 2 days of competition with 541.5 points. And that's a very respectable score. Remember, there's 700... There are 700 possible points. 700 something. I had it written down somewhere. Anyway, so that's a very solid score, and that's a score to remember, 541.5, because that number will play a role as we move forward in the rank in the days. So the first 2 days, October 23rd, October 24th, this is the rankings, 38 competitors. And then from there, the top 16 competitors by score will move on to the semifinals round. So we see here that the 16th place was Natalia Kwiatkowska from Poland with 454 points. So that would be the cutoff for that. Below that, Brazil, Peru, Philippines, Germany, Lithuania, Costa Rica, Ukraine, Norway, Austria, South Africa, Portugal, Denmark, France, Finland, Azerbaijan. Ooh, Azerbaijan has a place now. Excellent. Chile, Turkey, Ecuador, Panama were all they were all unfortunately eliminated from the competition. And it's always disappointing because, you're talking now about champions. These are all champions who have won their national titles. So, everybody's hopeful. Everyone's hopeful. And this is what I talk about when I'm running competitions in other countries. This is what I talk about both with our judges during our judges calibration training, as well as during our competitors meetings. I don't like to, I try to be very upfront with everyone that, and I try to remind the judges this, that we want the judges to take good notes and to be very present in the moment with their competitors, because at the end of the day, only one person is really happy. Everybody else is disappointed at some level. Sure, they may put on a brave face and be like, oh yeah, I did well and I represented my country, but still, they didn't win. And everybody wants to be the winner. Everybody wants to stand up on the podium with the big trophy. So we try to remember that everybody's a little bit disappointed in some way. So we have to approach everything that we do with that in mind, I think. And of course, the ones that get the most disappointed are the two people that you're going to see at the very bottom, from competitors, champions from El Salvador and Saudi Arabia. And as you notice in their score category, it says DQ, and DQ, disqualification, happens for a variety of reasons. It can happen because they may have found some kind of ingredient that's banned or barred from the competition. Typically, it's not that extreme. Typically, it's just a matter of going over time. And, as a competitor, you have 15 minutes to do your presentation, and you can go 1 minute over. And for every second that you go over the 15 minutes allotted time, you are given a 1-point penalty. So if you go over to 15 seconds, you have a deduction from your score of 15 points. If you go 59 seconds, you have a deduction of your score from 59 points, right? However, if you reach 60 seconds, 16 minutes, that is no longer allowed, and you are now disqualified from competition. And part of that is to keep everyone on time. Like in years past, when we were talking 15 or so years ago, when I was just starting out learning about competitions, You did have people that would go on for like half an hour. It's like, oh my gosh, this is just taking too long. And, when you're trying to process, upwards of 25 people per day, you just don't have the time to do 30 minutes when you're allotted 15. So the 16 is the cutoff point for disqualification, and unfortunately, I do know that Mohammed Ruthan from Saudi Arabia was DQ'd. That was his coach told me that, and Javier Contreras from El Salvador. I can only imagine that's what happened. Let's have a look and see where we are on his score on his presentation. So here we are. We're running. Oh yeah. So as you can see, he's already. He's still doing his signature drink stuff, and we're at 1544. So he's already, at this moment that I have it paused, he's already 44 points, in the deduction. And if we look at our timeline down here, 1647, we're at 1647 in the total time. We got 1817 to go. Already we can just tell that he's going to go over, and that's the reason for his disqualification. What I try to tell competitors, especially during our competitors meeting, so typically as the head judge, I have a meeting with the competitors, usually the day prior to the competition. This is a meeting where all competitors are asked to attend, and this allows them to ask any question they want about the competition, about what they're going to be doing. And I have them, we have this set up so that they come in a group setting, because we don't want it to be seem like, oh, he just finished. Did he go overtime or what happened? Oops. Oh yeah, see that 16 right there? He's still talking. So like I was saying, we bring all the competitors together, and we want them to be in a group setting because we can answer questions and anything they want to know, and everyone gets to hear the answer equally. So it's not coaching. Like what we don't want people to think is that we're coaching any particular competitor as the judges, right? So you can now ask the head judge, any question you want, and I'll give you an answer. Hopefully give you an answer. And that way people can share. And so one of the things that I always try to tell them is say, hey, you only have 15 minutes. Once you get past 15 minutes, you need to be aware of that, right? And once you get past your 15 minutes, you need to try to end. And basically, if you're still doing your presentation, and let's say you're at 1545, and I tell them, if you get to 1545, just stop. Just say time. Put up your hand and say time, because you know what? Here's the thing. Even if you took it all the way to 1559 and you called time, because you're supposed to call time and raise your hand, and that officially stops the time. Even if you at 1559 and you have 59 points penalty, you still have a fighting chance to be somewhere in the standings. I've seen people go overtime and still win because they're that strong of a presentation. But if you go 16, you're done. There's just you're disqualified, and there is no coming back from that. You're completely done. And so I wish in this case, Javier, it looks like he's doing a very nice job, and he's doing a lot of talking. He's already served the drink.
And now, please, the descriptor of the drink are...
Descriptor. You're 1554. This is why you need to stop right there, because you're talking, and if you don't stop here and you go over 16 minutes, it doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter what the drink tastes like anymore.
Coffee blossom, peach, a creamy body, and aftertaste is molasses. Thank you for your attention. Time.
So time at 16:10. I mean, that's to me that's heartbreaking, because You've got you know a nice, a well-presented competitor. He's already won his championship. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to do a good performance. But he just oh, it's disappointing. It's disappointing, and yeah, you just as a judge, I'm always hoping they do well, and they do. So let's have a look at Mohammed Ruthan from Saudi Arabia, and I was his head judge in 2019, the last time we were holding our championships there, and I'll be actually going back to Saudi in December. So because they're planning to hold the next their own Barista Championship in December. All right, let's have a look at Ruthan's presentation. Whoops. All right, here we are, 15:30. So he's already gone over time. Still pouring. In some ways, it might be better not to even just talk. Like, even though you're going to get hit with some heavy points for like this cleanup stuff, you just need to go. You need to be aware of the time. 15:52, 3. I mean, he's coming to it. I mean, 16. We're already at 16, so he's already done. I mean, that's. And here's another problem, like in case you haven't been thinking about competing. If you notice that, let's go back a little bit. If you notice that he poured his drinks right here, he's got an even amount of beverage in the drinks, and I'm presuming, without having watched this, that he has taken his 4 shots of espresso and mixed it into the pitcher, put all of his ingredients, mixed it all together, and now he's poured out his drink, and there is still beverage in the pitcher. The problem here is that each drink is supposed to be served technically 1 shot of espresso, right? So you're doing 4 shots of espresso, 1 for each of the judges. And if you don't pour all of your container out, we must then presume that you didn't meet that minimum. And so therefore another penalty is incurred. Now, he's got the ultimate penalty at 16:03 of disqualification, so it's kind of a moot point. But again, it's a shame to see that, because these are things that could easily be remedied, or at least had he finished prior to 16, there's still a fighting chance of getting somewhere in the rankings. And that's really what I'm concerned about, is you still have somewhat of a fighting chance if you don't go overtime. And yeah, so that is, oh, there we are. So that's what happened here. We've got, and then let's look at the standings here. So we were at 541 here at the very top with Q Kelly, which is a heck of a score for this championship. And then we have Adrian Villarreal from Panama, and he's got a 275. So unfortunately, he's got hit pretty heavily. You've got these guys in the 200s and 300s. I don't know what would have happened with Adrian. I mean, probably had some kind of problem and something like that caused that kind of disparity. I mean, we're talking, 45 points, roughly? And then Mark's saying, I imagine a major issue is that time flies when you're in a high-pressure situation. I think, 14 is I think that's a great way to work, 14 minutes. And you're right, the pressure is super high. Like, it's really, and I understand, even though I'm saying a lot, they should just drop it. I do understand that it takes a lot of pressure, and it's really difficult to do. I mean, I did it myself for 6-7 years. So the pressure is quite intense, and you're trying to do everything in order and that you've prepared, as well as trying to be calm and be pleasant and presentable. And sometimes it's just difficult. Sometimes it's just difficult to monitor your time. You're so I mean, the competitors are very nervous. Like the way they shake, you see them shaking. It's just I do feel for them. As a judge, you feel for them. And here's the thing. So people think that some people may say that judges are pretty tough, and I can't say that some of them aren't. But I think, especially the judges that I like to work with, I think the judges that I like to work with are very enthusiastic and very much about supporting the competitor. We want to see the competitor do really well. Like, especially when you're in the sensory chair, you're tasting the drink, so you want them to be great because you don't really want to be drinking something that's not pleasant. You want it to be really fantastic. So you're just hoping that the competitor can do well. Yeah, I mean, because it's a good thing. But yeah, for sure, it's definitely pressure on them, and it's difficult. So let's also have a look here in the first standing. We see that Daniele Ricci from Italy was second at 5:16. Indonesia took a spot. Russia, of course, there's Diego at fifth place. Now Diego's at fifth place, so he's almost on the edge, right? And sixth place is South Korea. Now here's the interesting thing: it's only in the top 6 of the first round, it's only Hugh and Diego that are from the finals. Everybody else in the finals was not part of it, right? Now we see the 3 of them are right, or actually the next 4 are right behind them, but they would not, if they had made, if they had gone to 38-6, they would have been eliminated completely. We see Wojciech, Emmy, Andrea, and Martin right in a row. That's an interesting thing. We see them right in a row, and they would end up being the other 4 finalists. And then, so we'll go down here. Natalia from Poland. She's the cutoff point. And so on to the 25th. Oh yeah, let's see. But Mark says it's very challenging to mimic high pressure situations for practice. Maybe I could be the first barista. Oh, that would be good. I like that. We should work on that. Oh, I'm not showing you I'm talking about this and I'm not showing you. My apologies. So like I'm saying here, I wish I could close that so you could see better. But these are the standings. And as I was saying, Hugh, Diego, and then 7, 8, 9, 10 are the other finalists. So like I was saying, if we had just taken the top 6 from the first round, 4 of our finalists would never have made it in. And Diego would not have been the champion. All right, so let's move on to the second round, which is the semifinals round. This was held on the 25th of October. And as you can see, now let's look at the top score. Number 1 in the semifinals was Andrea Allen with a score of 506 points. Now that's a considerable amount less than the 541 that Hugh did. And that 506 in the first round would have only placed her in 5th place. 5th place would have been ahead of Diego, but not enough to knock out Hugh and nor Russia, Indonesia, or Italy. But it just goes to show you that it changes, right? So the consistency is good, but it's not like always perfectly consistent. Now, let's look here at our finalists. Now we have Andrea Allen, first place, Diego in second, Hugh from Australia in third, Emmy in fourth, and Martin fifth from Kenya, and then Wojciech in sixth. So we actually have all of our 6 finalists, as well. Obviously, am I saying that? That's of course what it is because they're based on the ranking. That's not. I'm getting a little bit carried away here. Carried away. Michael Jassian from Indonesia, Italy. So if we look at the top 6, we have 506 to 428, and compare that to 541 to 501. So we've got quite a bit of a difference. Like in the first round, none of the top 6 were below 500 points. The lowest point was 501. In the next 6, Wojciech was at 428, Martin 460, 473, 492. Only between Diego and Andrea were there over 500. And only between them is only 5.5 point difference. So that's a really tiny, tiny difference, which really says that, if, depending on the category, it could be a half point difference that separated them, right? So if you're talking about, let's say, accuracy of flavor descriptions on the score sheet, a half point difference means a total of 1.5 points because we're multiplying that by 3. Or a half point difference in judges' total impression is a 2-point difference, right? So just a couple minor variations in even just those categories alone could count for the difference between the two scores. So it's very, very minor and very, very narrow in that respect. Now let's look at the finals. Here in the finals, these are the finals ranking. Of course, we know Diego, Andrea, Hugh, Emmy, Martin, and Wojciech. Diego wins the competition with 511.5 points. Now, he did much better than his semifinals round. He jumped by 11 points. And then compared to his other round, 504. So definitely at 511, he is at the zenith of what he's doing in this round. Andrea, she's in second place with 487 points. I mean, that's a pretty precipitous drop from 506 in the semifinals and 479. It's about similar to what she is in the first round. So maybe that's really her range, Hugh is at 475, which is, down from 492 in the semifinals and very, very down from the 541.5 in the first round. And, when you get these, when these rankings finally come out after the competition's over, it's got to be a little bit disheartening and a little bit disappointing for the competitors because, like let's say Hugh's here blowing them away at 541, right? Just blowing everyone away in the first round. And Andrea, 506, winning in the second round. So you're always hoping that they can, I'm sure they're hoping that they could have taken it all. They could have taken it all had we stopped at those points. But now, we're talking 511, 487, 475, 443, 429, 420. I mean, let's see, 420 would have placed you, right here, 21st place in the open round. Now, the big difference here to consider is that in the previous two rounds, there are multiple teams of judges running overseeing the competition, meaning that lots of different judges are judging the many competitors. And when you finally get to the finals round, here with the 6 competitors, there's only one team of judges. Then the group then selects a team of judges that will judge each and every competitor, allowing there to be more consistency in the judging across the board, right? So that each of the team sees each of the competitors. And the idea is that it gives a level playing field. And like if you're a judge from a particular country and your country's competitor makes it into the finals, you are not eligible to judge. So there's a couple of videos out there that are floating around on the internet that shows some of the competitors like Diego or Andrea or Hugh that say they're from the finals round, but then let's say like with Andrea, you see them talking about the finals round and that there's a final round. It's a video from the finals round, but then you see Ryan Wilbur as one of the sensory judges. And Ryan, if you don't know who he is, he's actually one of the U.S.-based sensory judges. So seeing him on the panel already tells you that is not the finals round because he would not have been seated as a finals judge because of his origin country being the same as one of the finalists. So as you would imagine, if you're a judge from Colombia, United States, Australia, Switzerland, Kenya, or Ireland, you would not be allowed to be seated in the finals panel. So yeah, that's kind of how that works. What else to touch on? So, we're looking at Diego at 511.5 points, and I thought, I wonder what we could do to, like, what does that really mean in terms of scores? Like, we've talked in the past about how we do the scoring, and the scoring is done on a range of 0 to 6 points. So, and we can do half points between 1 and 5. So and we also assign descriptors to each of the scores to help judges and help competitors think about how to score, how to describe the scoring, right? So, for example, we assign the system. Actually, let me pull that up here. Let me pull up the score sheet here and zoom it in so you can see it easier. I hope you can see that better. Okay, so right here is our scale. I'll bring it up. There we are. So this is our evaluation scale. Yes and no get 1 or 0 points each. Then when we get to, because there's a couple yes or no questions on the score sheet. Then we have 0 through 6. Unacceptable for 0. 1 is acceptable. 2 is average. 3 is good. 4 is very good. 5 is excellent. And then 6 is extraordinary. Now, you can give half points, as you've seen, between 1 to 6. We don't do half points like a 0.5. We don't do that because 0 being acceptable and 1 being acceptable, there's no halfway between unacceptable and acceptable, right? And then, of course, 6 is perfect. It's the top score, so there's nothing over 6. So it's 0, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 6. And that's the range of scoring that's available to the judges. Now, I thought that we would go through the score sheet here and just talk about what he might have received score-wise to get to his 511 points. All right, so now I previously there's a previous video of me doing this out there on the Ono Coffee channel, where we're reviewing the video from the semifinals round and following along as though we were scoring it from a judging position. Now, I guess, like I said in the video, there's a lot of the majority of the scores for the sensory sheet are based on the actual taste. As you can see here, taste experience, accuracy of flavor descriptors, tactile experience, accuracy of tactile descriptors. These are things that only the judges can really assess because they're tasting it and having that experience. We can only surmise. I'm just going to surmise based on my experience, but with no real grounding in what has transpired. Okay. Now, some of it, let's say like the Crema, yes or no, I'm basing that evaluation on the video that I've seen. So we have a video where do we have a video here? Is it ready? Anyway, there's a video of Diego, and I have used that to formulate the score sheet. And I also have a PDF of the score sheet as I completed it that's out there as well on the video. But anyway, so let's go into it. So the first part there are 3 flights, and there are 3 flights of drinks that the sensory judges must review. There's espresso, a milk drink, and then a signature drink of their own creation. And they serve four drinks to 4 sensory judges that do this that use this score sheet to do the evaluation. The first part, espresso evaluation, the first category is crema. We're looking for the presence of crema across the entire top of the drinking vessel. And that crema can be of any color, just as long as it's there and is whole and intact, meaning that there's no holes and no black from the coffee protruding through. From my perspective in the video, it did look like there was crema, so I said yes. Now, taste experience, I'm just gonna, he won, so I thought that he would probably get a higher score here. So I extrapolated a score of 4.5, which is very good plus. And then here for accuracy of flavor descriptors, I'm again extrapolating here. 4, very good. Tactile experience, 3.5, good plus. Accuracy of tactile descriptors, 4, very good. And then functional correct espresso vessel used, really this means can you actually drink out of the serving vessel? Sometimes they're more difficult to drink than others. Sometimes it's really difficult. And so we have this there. This is something that's a holdover from many years ago where there used to be a lot more criteria for this. Now it's just a matter of can you drink it? Yes and no. So we say yes. And so now if you remember here, we were talking about taste experience, 4.5. We have, as you can see to the left of it, there's a 2 times multiplier, meaning that we take that 4.5, we multiply it by 2, and that gives us a 9-point total for that. Accuracy of flavor descriptors, we gave that a 4. We're going to multiply that by a factor of 3 for 12 points. Tactile experience, 3.5, multiplied by 2, 7. Accuracy of flavor descriptors, accuracy of tactile descriptors, we give that a 4. Times 2 is 8, right? And then functional correct, yes, so that's 1. So now in this section alone, we have this particular section, we're giving Diego 38 points. So we move on to milk beverage, and we're looking at, first off, at the visual, right? Then what are we looking for? Foamy, smooth, silky, velvety foam with good contrast, right? Nice contrast between the reddish brown crema and the white milk. Now, in the one video that I was watching, I only got to see one judge's visual, and it wasn't very nice. It was really a lot of brown, not really well poured. The texture was okay, was good, but everything else was just good. Nothing, actually probably less than good, probably just, good. Average to good. So my score for that was 2.5, so average plus. Yeah. Taste experience, we're going to extrapolate that and say that was a 3, so good. Accuracy flavor descriptors, good with a 3 again. And then functional vessel, yes. So here we've got 3 and 3 with both of those having factors of 2. So we've got 6 and 12. So we've got 15.5 points in this section. Then moving on to the signature beverage evaluation. Now here's really part of where Diego really shone through. Is it first category, well explained, introduced, prepared. He was just excellent. Like everything you wanted to know that you could know about it, he was telling you all that he could. Beyond just the origin of the coffee and why he wanted to do this. He talked about 4 shots. He talked about he was using a frozen cherry reduction of 12 grams. He was using 24 grams of a pineapple starfruit reduction. He was using this frozen eugenioids. The problem is my own writing. He did another eugenioids reduction with 8 grams. He talked about how it all goes together, how you assemble it, and why he did a lot of these ingredients. And so, for me, that was a 5.5. Excellent plus. Then the next one, appealing presentation. Yeah, it looked nice. Functionality. Yeah, that worked well. Creativity, synergy with coffee. This is one of those things where, how creative. It's kind of a 2-category kind of thing. How creative is the drink, and how synergistic are the ingredients together? Do the ingredients come together to perform a better whole? Again, these are things that really are super dependent on if you actually tasting the drink. You can only, so again, we're going to extrapolate that. I'm giving it a 3.5, so good plus. And then for taste experience, giving the same thing, good plus. Accuracy of flavors, good plus. I'm personally interested to try it, but I don't, I'm just guessing that it's probably right around that range. So those scores together, the 3.5s and the taste experience and accuracy of flavor descriptors, both get a multiplication factor of 2. So now we have 25 points for that section. And then moving on, barista evaluation, customer service skills, presentation professionalism. I mean, he's up there. He's way up there. Excellent. Just excellent. Just well composed, very professional. The presentation was just on the money. So that for me was a good 5 points. Then attention to detail, all accessories available. I mean, basing my just looking at what's available to the judges on the tables and what he's what he's presenting and offering. I mean, really, that's where the question is, like, what else could they want? What else could they have needed? And there where I can't, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. So really, to my mind, that would be a 6. So we gave him a 6 for that. So that's the highest score. And then we have appropriate apparel, yes or no. So you would think that appropriate apparel was a lot of different things, I mean, of course, you want them to be nicely dressed, but really the criteria for appropriate apparel is, are they wearing an apron or not? If they're wearing an apron, the answer is yes. If they're not wearing an apron, the answer is no, no matter how finely dressed they may be. And so he was wearing an apron, so we say yes. So for that section with 5, 6, and then 1 point, we've got 12 points. And then here at the very bottom, judges' total impression. The overall view of barista's presence correlating to taste, scoring, and presentation. So what that means is that it's kind of an overall evaluation of the barista's performance, but it's not necessarily a average of the scoring. It's more an information. The score should the overall the total impression should be informed by the score sheet. Like, it would be very difficult to say he's a 6 when you haven't really given any kind of 6 scoring throughout his presentation. In this particular case, I thought he was excellent. Excellent. Just excellent. So I would give him 5 in this category. And now, as you know, this is you can notice here to the left of it, it says 4 times. So it's a 4 times multiplier of that 5, meaning it's a 20-point total. Now, if we add all those together, we have 110.5 points on the score sheet. Right? So 110 points on this score sheet. And so we're just going to take that and multiply it by 4. Just extrapolate that out to 4 judges, which gives us 442 points on the sensory side. And then we're just going to make a simple presumption with the technical judging. So there's a technical judge that watches the way that the competitor does their thing and evaluates that. And that score sheet is worth 71 points. So we're just going to presume that he was perfect because he looked solid on the money. So we're going to presume 71 points for that. So the 442 plus the 71 points gives us 513 points, which is very close to his finished score, wherever that went, of 511.5. So according to my mock-up here, we're a point and a half over where he finished. So I think it's safe to say that he's somewhere in the range that I was, just hypothetically talking about here. So to give you an idea of hopefully that gives you an idea of what this scoring, what his score sheets may have looked like. Of course, we don't know because we've never seen them. Perhaps Federico will share that with us one day and we can see, or Diego, if you want to share it with us, we'd love to be able to look at them and evaluate and talk about them on the show. And that's pretty much it. So that's kind of how we look at the different score sheets. And these are the competitors. They did a great job. If you have the chance, if you visit on YouTube, World Barista Championships or World Coffee Championships on YouTube, where is it? Here it is. If you visit here, World Coffee Championships on YouTube, you can see all the different competitors that are competing. And as well as, while we just talk about the Barista Championship, there is also Brewers Cup and Tasters, World Tasters Championship as well. They only have the first round of the competitors from the first round presentations, but I imagine at some point they will get everyone up there. I think they have been adding to it slowly. So any of your favorite baristas that you want to see or favorite countries, you can watch them here online. And yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time, especially if you want to see what barista champions from around the world do. As you can see here, there's a lot of videos they have going on. All right, so if there's not any other questions today, I think that's good. We're here. We've done that's another week of coffee Q&A, World Barista Championship review. If you have any thoughts or questions, drop them in the comments below. Love to hear from you. And yeah, buy coffee, sprocoffee.com. We'd love to sell you some. But every week, just keep in mind, every week, Tuesdays, 10 a.m. Eastern, we're here doing coffee Q&A live. So any questions you might have, and pass those along. So Mark wants to know, did I drink coffee? I did. Actually, I was drinking coffee earlier, so I did not make another one today. What was I drinking? This is the black honey from Loma La Gloria in Quetzalcoatl in El Salvador. One of my dear friends, Annie Ruth Pimentel. I actually made this around 8 o'clock this morning because I was here early, and I made some breakfast, some French toast and some eggs and sausage, and I just didn't feel like going back and making another round. Otherwise, I'm drinking sparkling water because it's festive. All right, so that's pretty much it for this week. Drop your comments down below. Come and join us next week, live on Tuesday mornings, 10 a.m. And yeah. Thank you very much, and have a great day.